We're back. Your hair is just... I'm an actor. I notice these things. You have
Thank
to
you. Am I?
fix it for camera, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 2 of the SmashCutbros, guys.
Or is this episode 2? Episode 1 is like for the media kit. So
Right. Oh, is this episode 1?
the internet at large might never see it.
Oh. Then should
Yeah.
we... Do we need to
Introduce
reintroduce ourselves?
Sure. This is haydenszeto, beloved actor.
Oh, so we're going to introduce each other. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, I was going to introduce both of us, but we can...
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Describe me.
Introduce you.
I'm a vain actor. Describe me.
That's true. Haydenszeto, beloved actor,
Oh, stop.
philosopher, painter, octuple threat, noted broadcaster,
Wow. And?
you want me to
A
keep going?
loving friend.
Loving friend, fantastic lover. Haydenszeto is the man who taught me how to love a woman and scold a child.
Yes, I did. I told you I had to walk away.
Yeah. I never listen.
Well, how would I describe Jesse? Jessewelch and I, we went to film school together about 2003.
No.
No? Wait.
Dude, I was in
No, sorry.
high school.
Why did I say 2003? We graduated...
It was like 2010.
We graduated 2012.
Wait. Oh, it would have been before.
03 is like
It
high
was
school.
09.
09 to
It
012.
would have been somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
we went to film school together.
Wow.
We were never really that close in film school, right?
No.
We
We just
were
ran
in
in the
different
same
classes.
circles.
We ran in the same circles. Jesse has a story about meeting me for the first time.
Yeah.
That I remember what I said, but I don't remember Jesse in the elevator with me at the time.
This was my first day in LA, and I walk into this elevator at this film school that I'm going to attend, and Hayden is in there with Phil, polite.
Shout out Phil. Big man Phil.
Big guy. Phil's massive, right? Hayden was like 40 pounds lighter at this stage, and he was a really small guy. He was very skinny. Did you not work out? How were you so small?
I was just hungry all the time.
Oh,
I didn't eat
okay.
much. Yeah, I had a very high metabolism. For the longest time, my mom thought I had a tapeworm. I was so skinny.
Oh.
She used to take me to the doctor, and then the doctor would be like, yeah, Mrs. Ceto, your son does not have the tapeworm. He's just really lean and has high metabolism. My mom's like, can you check him again?
Just get your finger way up.
Yeah.
You got forceps, right? Just yank. So yeah, anyways, this is before Hayden started hitting the gym real hard. And I get into this elevator, and Hayden's got his shirt open. He's got like a button up, and it's open, a little short sleeve button up. And he looks at me and he goes, "First day?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Fresh meat." And Phil was standing there and just like looking up, and he just goes, and that was it. Like, that was the whole interaction. Then I had to ride the elevator with you guys, which was really awkward because I was like, what the hell was
The
that?
way you describe me, I have this fantasy of going back in time and just, catching myself off the elevator and just confronting myself like, you douchebag. Button up your fucking shirt.
Your shirt was open.
You piece of shit.
It's like an office building that this film school was in at the time. It's like its own
the
thing now.
NBC.
Yeah, it's the NBC Universal
NBC
building.
Yeah, with a lot of celebrity sightings on our elevator rides
Yeah.
up to our classrooms.
Yeah, Howie Mandel was always in the
Howie
elevator.
Mandel, I met Lisa Kudrow one time on her BlackBerry. That's how long ago this was. I remember getting in the elevator. I think I was with... Who was I with? I forgot who I was with. A classmate of mine. Oh, Manish. I was with Manish.
Yeah.
And we were going up the elevator, and we were like, oh my God, that's Lisa Kudrow. And she smiled and nodded and said, hi. You know those whispered highs? Like, when you go to Runyon Canyon and people pass you, like,
Yeah.
it's one of those. She gave us one of those, and we just froze, and we looked away, and we were like, are we supposed to say hello back? I'm like, I don't know. And then
That's the rule.
by the time she walked out, we're like, it's like we just like started breathing again. We're like, oh my God, that was Lisa Kudrow. Yeah, and who's the guy from Titanic?
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. I met Billy Zane
Yeah,
because
I went to his birthday party.
when his birthday party.
2 years ago, yeah.
How that happened?
A close friend of mine who did a movie that I did in England, and I was like, hey man, if you're ever in LA, hit me up. Like, no questions asked, come over and stay with me. Well, he did. He just showed up one day and stayed with me for like 3 months.
No shit.
And him and Billy were really good friends. And also, another friend of mine, I won't shout him out just here, but we had done a movie together. He financed it. And Billy officiated his wedding.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just had we had all these mutual friends, and we just started hanging out. And then, like, that was it.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God.
downtown. It
New
was
York
it was at
Film
La
again.
Cita. It was not. It was like La Cita, and we just went nuts.
Yeah.
And we just like walked into the green room at La Cita, and there wasn't
Yeah.
anybody in there, so we just took it over, and then they kicked us out at one point. But
Jeez.
it was, but it wasn't like it was just. I don't know.
Our
It was
film
just
school-
wild. It
Our
was
film
wild.
school is the New York Film Academy, by the way. So
Yeah.
shout out NIFA.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, NIFA for Lifa. Yeah, like I remember Billy was like the third or fourth celebrity that I saw, and I remembered I saw him. We walked by each other at the crosswalk towards Universal Studio backlot
Yeah.
at the office, and I'm like, I'm gonna say something this time. So I quoted Zoolander and I said, "Put a cork in it, Zane."
Oh my God.
And he was with his big bodyguard. He turns around, he's like, "Who said that?" And I'm like, "That's me."
He loved
I
it.
said it. And he's like, "Come over here." I'm like, "Okay." And I went over there, and he shook my hand, and we actually took a picture together.
Yo, he's such a cool guy.
Yeah, he's really cool.
He's like legendary for just knowing everybody. Like
Yeah.
like the thing is, it's like where it's like, wait, Tim, you know? How do you know? Oh, he officiated my wedding. Wait, Sean, how do you? Wait, Ryan, how do you? Like, how do I know this many people?
Yeah.
Who know this guy?
Hey, I mean, they say sometimes don't meet your heroes, but you know,
No, he's
like
rad.
most of them, for me at least, they've turned out great.
He like I was like I understand why he's like such a
Yeah.
like one of those just like legendary
Yeah.
guys because like you meet him and you're like, oh my god, this guy's awesome.
He's awesome to
He's
be
so
around.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
spectacular. He's so fun.
and most of the well-known actors that I've met in my life, you see why they work so much. They're genuinely just great people, easy to be around, and that's what this industry comes down to is just relationships. And if you're a good person, people want to be around you, and the same team sticks with you.
Really great way to deflect the you being in the elevator, with your shirt open.
Hey man, just you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so these are the cool guys at this place, huh? That's the vibe. And then we just never really we interacted, but I had very minimal interaction with you. You tried to stuff someone in a freezer. That was the first time I was like, oh, I actually really like this guy.
Yes. So context for that story. We were at one of the NIFA parties that we were at, hosted by the. Should we mention his name?
No, probably not.
We should not mention his name.
No.
We know this guy that was very well known for throwing NIFA parties, and he made what is called jungle juice. And I had no idea what that is. So basically, jungle juice is if you take
Lots of liquor.
usually bottom shelf liquor.
Yes.
At the store.
Yeah.
And you mix it all together in a
cooler.
cauldron. Yeah, in a cooler and a cauldron, and you just take an empty cup and you scoop it up.
It's really good.
And yeah, it tastes like grape juice, honestly. And it doesn't hit you until like way later. It doesn't hit you right away. Yeah, and I remember I was in mid-conversation with our friend Angelina Kolobkova.
Name names.
Yeah, from shout out. She remembers this story, and she was just talking, and then I remember I just remember tuning out, and I'm just like, I'm gonna stuff you in the freezer.
Yeah, and I watched.
And she's like, Hayden, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to. I just got really. I'm like, I don't know what came over me.
It was happening very slow.
The jungle juice happened.
well.
Yeah.
Like nobody was moving at full speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened there.
Fewer than 24 frames a second.
Oh, those are the days, man.
Yeah. That's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, Film Academy film program. Did you do it in 2 years?
Dropped out.
You dropped out. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I was still I was still rowing, so I was still like I still had years of eligibility at Ohio State, and I was also like very few credits shy of graduating with a business degree. So I went back. Oh, and then NIFA was expensive.
Yeah.
Like one semester was like the equivalent of a year at Ohio State, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go.
Oh,
Do
gotcha.
this. And there was some other external factors going on, but like the cost was big. And also, like I had this like team of people, like I was in a very specific boat, and just the way with rowing is like when you swap one person out, like everything changes.
Gotcha.
So there was a lot of that, and so I went back and kept rowing. Wrapped up the
And
degree.
then you came back.
I came right back.
Because
Yeah,
I saw
right
because I
back.
remember seeing your showcase scene. I remember seeing
yeah,
your
yeah.
showcase. Yeah.
Yeah, so I came like right back.
Yeah. Jesse and I didn't really connect until after we
many
graduated.
years later.
Yeah, we met again as scene partners at the Ivana Chubbuck studio.
Yeah, that's right. That is.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, did we go to film school together?
Yeah.
And that's actually.
Well, you
how
had
we got
all of
close.
this stuff on your walls, all this like gamer shit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're a gamer?" And you're like, "Yeah, yeah,
World of
yeah."
Warcraft, and
I
you're
was
like, "Yeah, World of
bro,
Warcraft."
yeah, hell yeah.
And then I'm like,
Blood
okay, maybe.
Death Knight, dog.
But I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, I was trying to gauge how into it you were, so I could reveal how into it I was.
Almost filled out.
It was like a
dirty.
dirty secret. I was like,
Yeah.
because I had like multiple max level characters.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, are you like a one player guy? Did you play the trial? And then you're like, no, man, off the DK main tank.
I got a
Main
couple.
tank.
Yeah.
That's like a full time job.
I know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I was. That's when me and Jesse knew we were gonna have a long lasting friendship.
Yeah.
And yeah, we share a lot of the same interests, in sports and combat sports, video games, obviously storytelling,
Yeah.
and all these things. And for the longest time, we've been in this film industry for like a decade now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and we've been pursuing different paths, and we found experiences and success on our different paths, and we always joke about, I'm like, oh, it would be fun for us to work together when it makes sense.
Yeah.
And like we finally decided that we were going to do something together. We're in the midst of we just came out of a pandemic, and now we're going right into a writer's strike, which is another pandemic just for artists and creatives.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got to take our creative energy somewhere, and we have these conversations all the time anyways, and we're just like, well, just turn it into a podcast. Just two of us hang out and, and talking about stuff, Sometimes when we're by ourselves, like, we let the worst parts of ourselves get to us.
Yes.
And, just connecting with friends that understand you, and you kind of forget about it a little bit. You just find wiggle room to get out of it. Like, oh, are my problems really problems? Like, oh, now, I found some clarity after, talking to Jesse. So I don't know. Hopefully in the midst of our BS, you can find some gems, for yourselves as well. So that's the whole reason we, started this show.
Yeah. And also there's like so many times where we would be talking where I would just think, oh man, it would have been really good information to have 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think you not too long ago, like literally like a couple days ago, you were like, yeah, it's like, there's a group of people climbing Mount Olympus, and there's some people right ahead of you, and there's some people right behind you, but the only people you hear about are at the very, very top. Mm-hmm. And they honestly don't have great advice, because the vast majority of them, either got there 20 years ago at a time when it's just things were so different.
Well, the thing about advice in this industry is that there's really no one path, and as we talked about climbing Mount Olympus, like you on your way, you'll see some people set up camp there, and they're just waiting for the storm to pass. Like some guys just keep on going, and then you'll see somebody just you probably see a carcass along the way. You're like, oh well, that guy didn't make it. Well, you have to learn from them.
Yeah.
And you have to take their equipment and just go on. And it's just survival. Out here, and it's there's no right way. Honestly, there's no right way, and if there's anything that tests your grit, it's the creative industry, the film industry, and it's
Yeah.
because there really is no path. You know, it's like the path less traveled, but it's also very crowded at the same time.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. There's no like navigational equipment. There's just fog everywhere. All you gotta do is just have, you know, blind faith. You know, is what got me here. You know, is
Yeah.
what got you here. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. Then there's
Yeah.
trolls along the way
Yeah.
as well.
Well, silver lining is we're alive. We're doing what we want.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like all the bumps in the road, like you gotta have them, or else you just won't enjoy the fruits of it. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, fast up, fast down. But even like with this, like we essentially was like, you were like, when something makes sense, it'll be great to work together. And then we just went, or we could just decide
To
just
work
make
together.
something.
Exactly.
Let's just do something.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this long enough that it's like, well, we have plenty of people in our Rolodex who are going to want to come and hang out and work with us. Case in point, right?
Yeah.
We threw together a bunch of people. Hey, Kate. Hey, Mike.
Okay, then, Mike.
So there's also like that, like I think of the amount of time and energy and effort and the amount of people that we had to go through in order to get to a point where we could very quickly string together enough people with enough expertise to do something like this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so right out of film school, you remember Man of Light.
Yes.
So we had this movie
This
that
sci-fi movie.
It was-
What was it about?
it
Describe
was-
it.
so essentially what me and Elan and Dustin, who were like the OG, man, those guys aren't even in LA anymore.
No.
I miss them so badly. I talk to Elan sometimes, but one night we had this idea. They're both very creative people. Elan is from France, and he's like a very poised, posh, like French upper crust. Dustin is like good old boy from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess, I don't know, I'm from the Midwest. I don't know where I fit in. Those two were a wild pair together. And then I just somehow was like the third, you know, I was their unicorn. But we came up with this idea where it was Dustin came up with the idea, and then I think Alana and I were like, that's really good. What if we all sat down and wrote it? And we just sat down and wrote. And the concept was, what if all of the conspiracies that you ever hear were all, this was at a time where conspiracies were a little less insane, but they were all explainable throughout all of time because there was this one entity, this one person who was steering the course of humanity towards some sort of inevitable outcome, which we eventually it was like I don't remember what it was anymore. It was like
I
humans
just-
were on trial or something.
All I remember was I think I was hired to play a
we're gonna have you play the
FBI,
lead.
CIA agent.
FBI.
FBI agent that interrogates Dusty, who plays this
played the
character
guy.
of
That's
Man of Light.
right.
And I just remember
Was
how
filmed
impressed
in
I
Fresno?
was. We rented out the City Hall of Fresno.
No, we convinced them to give it to us for free.
Wow.
They gave us a bank vault. They gave us here's the thing, and I shouldn't say we. Dustin did this. Believe it
Shout
or
out
not,
Dustin
Dustin Sturm was the man who negotiated those. And let me tell you something. Dustin does not come off as an incredibly professional, polished guy. Negotiating is not his strength. He did this because he wanted it so bad and he made it happen.
He had that it factor.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
He's got some je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, he's got that like
A lot of it.
country boy. Like here's what I want. Here's how I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
It. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I want. Like he's very good at
Yeah,
that.
and he's not afraid to keep taking swings until he gets
And you know what? That's a very useful skill in this
it
industry.
incredibly. And
Fake it till you make it.
yeah,
Yeah.
And we filmed that sizzle basically. We hired a very problematic VFX guy to make us really amazing VFX, and started pitching it, and just like right away,
Yeah.
it got traction.
Honestly, I remember the sizzle, and
still.
I remember it looking pretty legit, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was really impressed. I had no gauge back then. If is this impressive? Is this like I don't know what it looks like just coming straight out of high school, but I know what movies look like.
Yeah.
And what we filmed actually looked. I don't know
really good.
if we can find footage of this, we would love to show you guys.
I saw it not too long, like maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, yo, we did a really good job. Because the thing is, we didn't try too hard. There was one thing that I was like, oh, that looks... But like, the effects we did, it was a lot more using old technology in a new way. There was a scene where a shockwave comes through and it hits a nuclear power plant, and you know how the dust, when it hits buildings, but the
Wait,
dust...
I don't remember this part.
Oh, dog.
I don't remember this part.
And the dust hit a building and a symbol is in the building. You got to look really close.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah, man. And then we had that symbol keep showing
Okay,
up.
maybe I only
script.
remember my own scene because I'm very
God, you're
vain.
such a narcissist.
I'm just like rewatching my own. I never got through the whole trailer, just watching my own scene. I'm just kidding. Well, I need to see this, and
Yeah,
but
man.
I'll tell you what. This was one of the first. I remember I took a screen grab of me in character. I remember I was wearing glasses and like some vest and like black suit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jaded
I remember
Long,
that. I'm
I
like,
think, was your character.
Jaded Long. Lord, that is so funny.
Yeah.
And I remember taking that screen grab and putting it on IMDb, and it looked legit.
Yeah.
You know, I took screen grabs of Man of Light, and that was like the first. I think a couple of the pictures are still up because it still looks pretty legit. Not gonna lie.
We didn't go wild. There was one thing I was like, that was corny. But it was like the type of corny that you might see like on television.
Yeah.
On like a genre television channel where they basically just some young filmmaker made a made-for-TV movie. They bought it and they put it up, and I was like, that was pretty good for a first time.
Yeah.
But this was like a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
With no money, just winging it.
Shoot, man. And,
Yeah.
and like, I'm still very proud of us.
Disaster, though.
I'm glad it was because we learned so much. We learned like invaluable lessons, like what it's like to work with friends.
Yeah.
Just actors, by the way.
Right.
Just a bunch of like my
actors.
friend, shout out Alex Hodge. He said actors are like a bunch of silly farm animals with no shepherd. You know, and so like for us to even attempt to do something together, I thought was pretty wild, and especially who we were back then. It's just we were completely blind. Yeah, and we actually got somewhere. We rented a location for somehow we had like
City Hall,
stacking skill sets.
Fresno City Hall.
We
shot scenes in the bank. In the bank.
I remember that.
So we shot a bunch of scenes. We shot a scene at a bar. We shot a lot. We only, I think, ended up using the City Hall stuff because all the other stuff.
Yeah.
It made sense for the narrative of the script.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense for the narrative of just the little sizzle. Yeah. So we ultimately decided, let's just do.
Dude, I remember that's when I felt like, dude, I'm a fucking actor in LA.
Yeah.
We're doing some like gorilla ass shit. You know what I mean? Like we did that with like you said.
Remember the dolly? Remember we put
and
held the camera? That was a great shot. And he did it upside down and he spun.
Gosh. Man, those were the days. I miss those days. Honestly, looking back at that.
I make money now, so I don't really. I get paid to do that.
Right. I the exhilaration is what I miss.
And the wins. So like we took that and we showed it around, and we got like right away we got money. Yeah. We got money from a French production company. That's why we were gonna. Oh my God! I'm just remembering how complicated this was. We were gonna film it in the Reunion Islands. Because the Reunion Islands...
Where are the Reunion Islands?
Like, off the coast of Madagascar.
Oh, wow.
So, like, not the Horn of Africa, but the other side.
I'm going to nod and pretend I know where that is on the map.
Like the Indian Ocean.
Yeah,
no one knows where it is. It's in the middle of nowhere.
I just know the animated movie, Madagascar.
Yeah, so it's actually further away from the continent of Africa than Madagascar is. It's, like, in the ocean. And it's, like... a French protectorate. It's some sort of like relic of colonialism where like everybody there is like this African, Indian, French ethnic mix, and they all speak French. Wow. And it's very colonial.
It's very Alain.
It is very Alain, yeah. And like the film commission was on board and they gave us some money, and then this French production company gave us some money. But remember we had essentially just hired. It's kind of like when you start a company, you know, you hire your network. Yeah. But when you're like a 22-year-old actor with no experience, really. Like, we had no real experience. I think we had all done a handful of
But
commercials.
like a background in understanding business and
Yeah, I went to
finance.
business school.
Yeah, you went to, yeah. So thank God you had that.
Well,
We were all just
didn't
like
help all that much, but we hired all our friends who were just like random
kids from everywhere.
Kids from
Yeah.
around, and so like one at a time.
Kids with daddy issues that
Yeah.
just left and came to LA by themselves.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But we had to fire everybody. Remember,
I remember.
I had to fire one by one the production
You
company.
fired
would
my
be
ex-girlfriend. Remember that?
Yeah, then I fired you. I know. That was
Dude,
so bad.
No, I was so prepared for this. Well, I mean, thankfully, because I come from an artist family.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like my dad's a well-known painter, and my grandpa's a renowned painter, and my great-grandfather before him was a renowned painter, and we had like just a whole lineage of artists. So like I knew, you know, it was a bumpy road, you know, and I was just happy to have this experience. But I was like, I mean, if this goes the distance, that'd be crazy.
That would have been.
But I was just happy to be along for the ride, and I think that was a very valuable mindset to have to survive this industry psychologically. I think I really thank my dad for that. He's like, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy at all. You know, it's like all the glittery stuff, you know, that's like 2% of it. Like the rest of it is just grind and you getting your ass kicked essentially. You know, so I wasn't that butthurt about it. I was just happy to be with friends. Honestly, I was happy and grateful that I got to be with friends that actually made something. Because like artists collaborating in this town is as flaky as saying that if you want to hang out with somebody in LA, and it's a stereotype. It's a stereotype. It's like, hey man, we should write something together. Yeah, we should grab coffee. Never happens.
We did it though.
We did it. We not only grabbed coffee, we made something. I mean, that's something very special. So I was, you know, cognizant of that the whole time. So I was, I enjoyed every minute of that. You know, it was scrappy. I'm a scrappy ass
It was
person.
too big though. Because how much did we get? Like
We got like
$3
stunt
million?
coordinators, legit stunt coordinators. Remember, we got trained by
Morgan
Benoit. Yeah,
a gang of them.
Yeah.
But you know, that was like a $9 million movie, and this was like 10 years ago. We ended up raising like $3 million. We got another like.
With inflation, that's like 100 million. That would be skin. That's not.
Might as well have been, honestly. It's still too big for us.
9 mils. That's crazy.
And then you know, we had some soft money, and we just thought like, let's just go. Let's just start spending this money.
Dude, imagine
and they didn't. Nothing had been approved.
Well, here's the thing, though. That blows my mind because even with the decade of experience that we've had now, you know, we've seen the honeypot. I've touched the honeypot. I've been in front of the honeypot. You know. And now looking back, if I got to look back at those kids and they're like, these kids out of school, we're going to get a $9 million deal. Honestly, I'd be like, yeah, that might happen. That might. That goes back to us saying that there really is no path.
No.
Some of it is luck, you know, but most of it, I think it just comes down to energy.
Yeah.
Like, we were kids that we had that fire, man. Yeah, like we were unstoppable. Like if we were in a video game, we were in God mode. You know, we have a full life bar. Let's go for this. We have nothing to lose. You know, and I think that's what we had. And it's the trick to that while climbing Mount Olympus is like, how do you keep that up? How do you dip back into that cookie jar for that energy? That's the challenge.
That was a really big early loss.
Mm-hmm. So when we worked on Man of Light, that was during a writer's strike.
Shortly after, it was fresh off the writer's strike from before, because there was all this controversy about new media, they called it, which was just digital, right? YouTube was just kind of showing up. I think streaming wasn't a thing yet.
That's right, yeah.
But like, Vine was a thing.
This was back when Netflix was still sending out DVDs. Yeah.
And but yeah, so it was one part back in Ohio. I had actually met a really, really successful writer who during the writer's strike, he wrote his own script. It was an adaptation of an older movie. And he just had this like, just write your own shit, man. Just write your own shit. And, I was like, it's easy for you. You're like a writer. But, then coming to LA, which, coincided with that strike ending. And I guess he just implanted it in me because I very much saw him, like he made that movie. I'm fairly sure he made it. I remember I kept up with him. I auditioned for it. That's how I met him.
Yeah.
I didn't get in it. But ultimately, he used the writer's strike to push his own project. And then, shortly after that, everything's up in the air. Like, what is a movie anymore anyways? And there was just a big change after that writer's strike. What woke me up to everything was not necessarily that the writers aren't getting paid enough and that they're not making money off these new deals, but rather that there is a new distribution platform. So there's the writer's strike, and you hear these guys need to get paid more, right? That incents people. It makes them angry, and that gets a lot of eyeballs. It gets a lot of attention. But when you drill down a little deeper, the irony of that, and I think it's happening now, is that back then the writers were panicking. I shouldn't say panicking. They were striking because a lot of their stuff was being distributed on new media platforms. Now we would call them streaming or digital platforms. And what ultimately ended up happening was I realized that this is going to be a bigger change than we realized. Like, getting these guys paid for their work, great. Yes, absolutely. But they were sort of the canaries in the coal mine, because what they were essentially striking for was they were trying to fix a symptom of a much bigger problem that was looming over the horizon. And I think that's what's happening now, right? We hear like, oh, they need to be paid more. They need to be paid more. And we're all like, we squabble back and forth about, should writers get paid more? Should they get paid less? And it's like, that's not actually the issue. The issue is always going to be much bigger. It's going to be much bigger than that. And it's going to essentially show us what the future holds. At that time, what inspired, us to really push Man of Light forward was I just saw that there was going to be new distribution models, and we could probably do this. And by the time we were done, some of those distribution models would be robust enough that we could be able to actually make this movie and have it profitable. Ultimately it fell apart. I had to fire all my friends
one by
one.
I remember that.
Because the production company was coming back and saying, you can't have this haydenszeto guy in this role. Who is he? Which is hilarious now. Back. I'm like, man, he's a famous actor now.
I still get that sometimes. I still get that. I mean, it's just like, what's that Russell Peters joke that he made? Stand-up comedian, Canadian stand-up comedian who I really love. He's like, I'm still cheap, but I'm just in more expensive stores. It's like I still face the same problems. On
a much bigger scale.
It's just the scaling is different.
However, if we were to flip it today, you would have kept your job.
Well, one of the moments that I do remember is our good friend Chris De Silva, who just recently moved to New York. He sent me a screenshot of Actors Access Breakdown post Edge of 17, and he took a screenshot of it and circled it for me. And the character description was nerdy and hot, a haydenszeto type. And I was like, I'm a type now, guys. That's when I felt like, that's really cool.
Have you ever seen that, like, the 5 life cycles of an actor?
No.
Who is haydenszeto? Get me haydenszeto.
Yeah.
And then get me someone like haydenszeto. And then I think the next one is like, find me a young haydenszeto. And then the last one is, who is haydenszeto?
Exactly. I knew it was going to end up back there. No, I mean, that's the ups and downs of this industry. It's like, I think one of the things that I've been reflecting on with the writer's strike, I mean, like I said before, it's like a pandemic for, all creatives.
Yeah.
You have a lot of time to reflect again. It's not like, I feel like during the pandemic, I had a lot of time to reflect personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I always had, hope that it's going to come back and then everything is going to, we're just adjusting to a new world, self-tapes, whatever. But now with the writer's strike, it's like, darn, I mean, now I'm reflecting like professionally.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. There's many facets of me that I need to reflect on.
Yeah.
And it's just, it humbled me. I think it humbled everyone. It's like, don't get addicted to outcome bias, because when I was riding that train, I remember, Truth or Dare 2 getting canceled, and I was like, oh, it'll come back. He's like, or it might not.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, or it might not. Gotta find something else.
Yeah.
Gotta start working on other stuff. And I'm also very grateful to be kind of cornered in a way creatively, because it brought us all together.
Yeah.
We're doing something with it now. I'm producing for the first time my own movie, which I will talk about once we release an article about it. But
Man, you're not even gonna give your own thing exclusive.
no,
You're not even your own platform. The breaking news.
I'm very superstitious.
Wow.
I'm Chinese, guys. Come on. I don't say it out loud until it's at least 70% true. But it's forced me to really dig even deeper than I thought ever before. Because before I was so happy to be a mercenary, like I'm just a sword, and now I'm just like, I gotta be more than that. I gotta be sword and master, and I gotta have all the tools at my disposal, and this makes me, in many ways, I kind of regret, like, I wasn't firing on all pistons. I could have been firing more earlier, but hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I'm in many ways, it was very scary. Like, now I'm producing and writing, and I'm very thankful that I have partners for that. But I can tell you, on a lot of these Zoom meetings, I'm just like muted most of the time, and I'm just trying to learn and not look like I have a giant anime sweat coming down the side of my head. Like, what did you guys? What was that thing you just mentioned? What was that term? I just have to keep nodding.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you guys, that's most of the battle. Just showing up and learning, and pushing down all the anxiety and trying to stay focused in the moment, and just keep hammering.
I think a big driver is stacking skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to find, you have to be really, really good at something, like one thing, at least one thing. And then you have to be, you have to be great at one thing. Or I guess theoretically you could be really, 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 really good at a lot of things, but not necessarily great at one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that combination of things makes you really unique, makes you irreplaceable. Or, and this is probably the way that I think most people should do it, is get really, really great at one thing, and then start adding skills onto that and stack them on. And that's why I think the writer's strike is really interesting, because it's almost like a jubilee, like a whole bunch of stuff gets kind of cleaned out during these strikes, but the future is revealed.
Yeah.
Like what the writers are concerned about, what the writers union is concerned about, is really like, it's just a peek behind the curtain. Like, by the way, this is what the industry's gonna look like in about 5 years, because the last time it happened, we got to peek behind the curtain about what the industry was gonna look like in 5 years, and it came true.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, again, get really good at one thing, right? Get really, really good as an actor, or get really good as a writer. Find a skill that you're really good at persuading people, selling things, something.
Yeah.
And then start figuring out what skills that you're going to stack onto that.
Yeah.
That are going to, not one skill plus one skill equals two skills.
Yeah.
It needs to be one skill plus one skill equals three skills or four skills. You need to figure out how you're gonna add exponentially.
And I tell you, like, for the longest time, like I said, I was just I thought I can just be a sword.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really scary because what if nobody wants to wield you?
Exactly.
And like as an actor, that's really scary because you need so many yeses from so many departments, from so many creatives for you to even get a chance to practice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, stay in class, you know, get coached and all that, but it's not the same as being under the lights, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you need that time under the lights. It's like when they interviewed Floyd Mayweather and about Conor McGregor stepping into the ring to box him. Floyd said something, he's like, he's not going to beat me because I've been under these lights for so long, for 41 years. He's not going to get to use his legs. He's going to be thinking about his legs. He's going to be thinking about all these things. I'm not scared of him, you know, but it's like you need time under those lights. And as an actor, it's like you got to practice in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You know, it's different from class. It's different from all these things, but you need so many people to even give you a permission to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so creating your own projects is the way to go nowadays, to collaborate with other creatives. And that's what I'm so grateful for now, is because, you know, everyone has a camera. You know, you can shoot a short on your iPhone and it looks legit.
The first movie that I produced, we paid like I think the camera package, camera plus lenses and everything, it was like $200K.
Yeah.
For the camera. I carry a camera in my pocket more powerful than that camera from 2010.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
that is
right?
absolutely wild.
Yeah, $200K, that was 10 years ago.
Wasn't that movie Tangerine shot on iPhone? That's what that was like one of the first iPhone movies.
Sean, can't remember his name.
I remember watching that, I'm like, that's phone?
Yeah.
That was back when like smartphones, right? Like the first smartphones came out or something, right?
Yeah.
It was like iPhone.
It was early. I shot a
6.
movie. I shot a movie on an iPhone. We spent something like $2,000 on the movie.
Yeah.
And we ended up selling it for like 50. But the way that everybody's contract, so everybody ended up making like 3 or 4K or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, shot on an iPhone.
When did Paranormal Activity, the first one, come out? They made that for $20K, and they made how many? Like hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Shooting down a
Plus, it's a
camcorder.
franchise.
Yeah, they shot that on a camcorder.
Yeah. They actually shot it, and if I remember correctly, they shopped it around for a long period of time. Here's another example of where you need to have your skill stack. Can you shoot a movie, right? Great. Now you have this movie. Are you going to be able to sell it to people? Are you going to be able to communicate the value of this movie to people who have money, and you're asking them for money, and they're, you know, you got to think like they're thinking, I'm going to give you money for what?
Yeah.
How is this going to make me money back? If I buy this, how do you know people are going to, you know, be interested in it? Or are you even able to communicate? Because you're not going to like send your 90-minute movie and everybody's going to sit down and spend 90 minutes on a stranger. These guys are getting hundreds of these.
Well, I'll tell you
every
what,
day.
horror movies, I mean, it's why, you know, shout out Blumhouse, it's why they always make their money back.
Yeah.
Because when people go to theaters now, they want an experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they want a good story, they can stream it, you know, like dramas and all that. People don't go to... They don't really go to the theater for, you know, to watch a good biopic anymore. You know, they show up for the, like, what really makes money, guarantees money, like Transformers, Terminator, blockbusters, explosions. You know, it's why those are always a safe bet, you know, and which is why Everything Everywhere recently was so great, because it was a Trojan horse for such a beautiful family drama, but it had all the bells and whistles of a Marvel movie. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, that's how you get people nowadays, you know, but also make a really good product, you know, like Everything Everywhere blew my mind.
On that note, though, so Regal's parent company is coming out of bankruptcy, right? Mm-hmm. So this massive theater company that has been around forever files for bankruptcy. COVID pushed them over the edge. They're coming out of chapter or whatever, 13, 11, 7, one of them, some sort of bankruptcy. Like, what do you think then that means for theaters? Like, are people going to keep going to movie theaters? This is another thing that like the writers are they're talking about.
Yeah.
Where is the money going to come from? Mm-hmm. Are people going to continue going to movie theaters? What do you think about that?
Gosh.
I think yes.
Start writing horror movies. Doesn't require that much effort.
I actually think that movie theaters are going to come back because at the end of the day,
I think so.
the thing that what's happening is like, again, man, this is another writer's strike thing.
Yeah.
This is the writer's strike episode.
Yeah.
But AI has been a big hot topic, right?
Mhm.
Well, I think, again, whatever the writers are complaining about is a peek into the future.
Yeah.
Right? It'll affect all of us soon. Now, take a step back. All right, what is going to be the impact of AI on the industry before we even start thinking about creativity? Just the industry in general.
Yeah.
Now, we know that a lot of jobs are going to be automated.
Yeah.
A lot of workflows are going to be automated. A lot of stuff, a lot of the tasks are no longer going to be done by humans, which means that those humans, that time has to go somewhere. That attention has to go somewhere. And where is it going to go? Like, things that used to be valuable are no longer going to be as valuable. And I think the biggest commodity that is going to drive value in the future is going to be things that cannot be automated.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what you can't automate is human experience.
Yeah.
Not human experience in the sense that like talking to customer service, but like humans
Yeah.
experiencing things.
Yes.
We're going to have more time and more attention. And so people are going to put a premium on having their attention
Yeah.
taken and having experiences and having access to things and going to a movie theater, as we kind of moved into this newer age, going to a movie theater kind of fell out of fashion.
Yeah.
Now the next wave, live events I think are going to be a bigger deal where
Yeah.
you go and have that experience.
Yeah.
Going to a movie theater is going to be a bigger deal where you go and have that experience.
Yeah. I mean, no, I 100% believe it's such a deep rooted part of our culture, American culture, and it's bled over all over the world. And just that experience, it's like Nicole Kidman said, we come to this place for magic. And it's true.
Yeah.
As corny as it sounds, and I can't tell you, I'm an AMC Stubs member. So I go watch that movie every time that Nicole Kidman intro comes on. Everyone claps, man. People miss this shit.
I wish they would change it from Jurassic World to something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they gotta update that.
Yeah.
But people miss being in the theaters. I go to the movies every now and then, and it's just so nice to see everybody back and enjoying. We watched Fast and Furious 10.
I was just gonna say this is a
masterpiece.
great segue.
Masterpiece.
Fast and Furious 10 is one of the greatest sci-fi movies of the year.
Agreed.
Now, we went on the topic of being in the theater and experiencing that movie with other people. How active was the audience?
So active.
Do you remember
that guy was howling behind every time?
my God.
Every time there was like a serious piece of dialogue, the guy's like,
Yeah.
in the back, and nobody was annoyed by that because we're all in on it.
Yeah.
And that's the magic of these communities,
Yes.
that I've missed seeing this whole time. Like, people miss being in the movies and just forgetting about all your freaking problems and just laughing and crying with people, and it's so special. You can't compare that on binging a 10-episode series on your laptop. You can't compare that.
Do you want to know what it is?
What?
Family.
Family.
But like how
break my family.
how in tune was all that? How many people were in that? That was the premiere. That was the premiering night.
Yeah.
That's a big theater.
Very big for the
That
yeah.
was
We're in the IMAX.
filled with people. Yeah, that's right. The IMAX. Everybody was laughing at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a satire, comedy, sci-fi.
Yeah.
And it's action-packed, and it's entertaining, and it's insane.
Yep.
And I have a question because for you, I want to hear your thoughts on this. The first Fast and the Furious was a very grounded movie. A little bit out there, right?
Yeah.
Because, this underground world. But the thing is, like, that world does exist. Living in LA, you hear about the street takeovers
Yeah.
all the time. That's
Oh,
a
I hear
thing
them
that
in North
people
Hollywood.
do. Yeah. Like the 6th Street Bridge. The first thing that happened when that beautiful modern miracle of architecture opened, they were like, takeovers every night.
Yeah.
Every night for like 3 weeks. So, at what point was there a moment that the Fast and Furious franchise switched?
Yes. You don't have to finish that sentence. I know exactly what you're saying. Yes.
When did it leave reality?
I think, unfortunately, when Paul Walker passed away,
Yeah.
I think that's when the franchise literally went to space. And Paul Walker is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's a fellow Virgo actor like I am. And he's just one of those things where, God, he was so committed, and he was like, you didn't realize how much of the heart of the move, like the franchise he was, until he wasn't there. And it was just so noticeable when he was gone, and it was really, really sad. And
He's very much been in all the other movies since then. Like the real moments are moments just reflecting on him.
yeah, I thought it was very beautiful the way they sent him off.
The thing is, that was the last. I think what you're saying is the last time they decided that this movie was going to be based in our universe.
Yeah,
They had that absolutely stunning and touching scene where, Paul drives to the right and Vin drives to the left, and Paul drives off and Vin drives like down, and so it's like Vin Diesel decides I'm gonna leave this reality, and Paul Walker, which is very ironic because in real life it was the opposite.
yeah,
Paul Walker stays in reality and goes off, and we just, we never see him again. And then Vin Diesel goes, and it just turns
into
insane.
a superhero movie.
It is insane.
Like Vin Diesel stopping a whole riot team, like 15 big men charged at him, and he outmuscled them and threw him over a railing.
Fast 9 is the best film of the franchise.
Yeah,
Personally, it's an absolute masterpiece.
mm-hmm.
It is the peak action satire. The scene where Vin Diesel, because I kind of left around like Fast 5, and then you and Nikki had me go watch Fast 9, and I was like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. This is the greatest movie I have ever seen. There is a scene where a stealth fighter jet like catches a car that is jumping over international borders, which for whatever reason are on a cliff. The CGI looks like they hired someone off of Fiverr to do it.
Very much
and I'm
so.
like, this is a $250 million movie. This is the opening scene, and they put that in there. That set the tone. They're like, we're not even gonna finish this scene. We're gonna ship this movie, and you're gonna love it. And they were right. I loved it. I loved that movie. I'm not being glib. It is genuinely one of the greatest films.
Yeah.
Had I not watched Everything Everywhere All at Once like 4 times last year,
like one of those,
I would say Fast 9 is the greatest.
It's like one of those moments where it's kind of like you having no experience, nothing on your resume, and going into like, I don't know, like Goldman Sachs, and you're like, I want this like multi-million-dollar job. And then we being the boss, we're like, so you're telling me you put in no effort. You're going to lean into not putting in any effort, and you want this money. And I'm like, yeah, I like that shit.
And nails it.
Yeah, you got balls.
It is a spectacular achievement.
Yeah.
But I think they left reality before that. I think they left reality.
What was Fast 8? Was that Rio de Janeiro? Or was that 7? Because whichever one was the vault. Swing the vault around. Does anyone know?
That was 7, I think.
That was my favorite one.
It was genuinely. There are moments. So in Fast 9, when I realized the genius of the movie was when Tyrese realizes he's in a movie and starts telling all the other characters, "Yo, I think we're in a movie."
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, "No, dude, you're crazy." And he's like, "No, man. Look, remember when I was getting shot at? Remember all those guys?" He's like, "Look,
no,
I don't
no
even,
bullet holes."
He's like, "I don't even have dirt on me. How? Explain that." And they're like, "Man, get out of here." He's like, No. Somebody needs to listen to me." And you watch him. By the way, that performance by him that performance was so good that I was actually a little disappointed in his performance in his most recent one, because the arc that his character had, where you see him, he's the goofy one and he's fun and he wants to be the leader and he's always the wild card and he gets his but then right, and then he has this, oh my god, wait, I'm in a movie, and you see his slow descent into, like, you can see him. Everybody's gaslighting him. I don't know if they know that they're in a movie or not. Vin has no idea. But, like, there's different levels of awareness, except he represents the audience.
Yeah.
He represents the audience perspective of knowing it's a movie, except he's become self-aware and he gets gaslighted into becoming crazy. Like, his performance is spectacular. And I realized, oh my god. And then the very next scene, Vin Diesel takes down an entire naval military installation with his bare hands. And that's when I realized, oh my god, that's right.
Not a single scratch on him.
No, it's totally fine.
I've seen him take some falls, and he gets up just fine.
He fell, a whole building fell on top of him, underwater. He has this aquatic scene about a brother, and then he's just back, and it's like, no, we're going to keep going. And Tyrese, again, the whole time, is like, you just see him going crazier. He's being gaslit, and his performance was, I can't believe he didn't get nominated. I think people did, I think he did too good of a job for people to realize.
You know what I just realized?
How powerful it was.
You know what I just realized? He alternates between black and white tank tops every other movie.
I haven't noticed that. I have not noticed
I
that
just
yet.
realized that in my head. First movie, he was in white tank top.
Yeah.
Too Fast, black tank top, right? Street racing at night, black tank top. This is very vivid in my head right now. He alternates tank tops. That's the creativity that goes into this movie.
He's unbelievable. Like, watching him in 9, and I was like, oh my god, he's unreal.
Yeah.
He's unreal.
What a career. I remember.
He's so handsome too.
God, I remember the Fast series based on who I was dating at the time. You know, like, I remember the girl that I was with at every Fast movie, you know? And now Fast 10, it's you. You're my girl.
I'm the girl.
You're the girl now.
Oh my god, this is wow.
Wow.
I'm part of the illustrious 10.
Yeah, you're forever in Fast 10. And when they get to Fast 20, I'm like, I remember my Fast 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So
Family.
I think they left. So you think they left when Paul left?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. That's when they just had to get creative, you know? And they're just like, look, let's just turn this into a superhero movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think they left reality after a little later than that.
Really?
I think it was around Fast 8. I think when they stole a nuclear sub. Because they went to like Antarctica. That's when I think they left reality.
Wait, isn't that Rio de Janeiro? It wasn't.
I don't know. They all blend together.
Was that Fast 7? Because Rio was my favorite. Like,
I have no idea.
That's the dragging that vault and like just
Yeah.
hitting people with it. That was my absolute favorite.
It's such a continuum of insanity. By the way, go and watch Fast 9.
Yeah.
And go and watch
If there's a
Fast
reason to go to the theater, it's watching Fast.
Jason Momoa is so delightfully psychotic and unhinged. He's basically evil Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny's already evil, but Jason Momoa in Fast 10 is real evil.
A 6'4" Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very scary stuff. And Jason Statham is awesome.
He's in his own movie.
He's Jason fucking Statham. You know? What's that line that he had? He's like,
Dig some graves.
I'm gonna dig some graves. Oh my god. This is like, you can throw any line at Jason Statham, he'll make it legit.
It's great.
Yeah, that's what I love about that guy. Sticks to his brand.
Yeah.
Gosh. So jealous.
But like we've established that the Fast and the Furious franchise has become a comedy sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's like the only comedy sci-fi / racing movie.
They created their own genre.
Yeah.
It's genuinely so Kate, my co-producer in my production company, just asked, am I being serious? And I'm like, yeah, the Fast 9 is one of the greatest films in history. I'm not being glib. I genuinely, there is so much subtlety, but it's subtle. It's so in your face that you miss the nuance. You miss the subtlety. Like Tyrese's performance is, it should be one of the greatest performances of all time. Watching this goofy character be gaslit in real time and also still have to fly like a Honda Civic into space with duct tape and a rocket that was built by two hillbillies.
I don't even remember why they ended up in space. Spoiler.
They
alert.
had to.
I don't remember what the purpose
I don't know
was.
either.
Was it to hit a satellite or something?
They were the crux of the whole thing. They're like, we're gonna do this thing, and Luda and Tyrese. I don't even know what their characters' names are.
I don't know.
But it's Luda and Tyrese. Like, they're so famous. How do you separate the characters from them?
Yeah.
Like, Ludacris has been like a cultural part of America for like over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Tyrese the same. And them together, because they're so different. It's wild because Tyrese is very goofy and Luda is very serious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're both like not super serious, but compared to each other. But then like you flip it, and it's like I feel like Tyrese is in real life is much less serious, much more serious, and Luda is much less. Sorry, I feel like it's
Yeah,
like
their
that.
personality
Their personality is the opposite.
switch, yeah.
Which is why I'm like they do really genuinely amazing work as artists. In Tyrese as a model, and as an actor, and Luda as an actor and as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are genuinely some of the most talented artists alive.
The
They're
characters are all
underrated.
very distinct.
They are. Yeah.
I mean, Michelle Rodriguez, Vin Diesel,
Yeah.
I mean, all these characters are so iconic, and they never drop character.
No.
You know?
Except for Tyrese realizing that
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
character.
Except for that moment. Yeah.
But I am not being glib. I genuinely think that the Fast movies
Well, it was like marketing in real time.
are spectacular.
Yeah, it gives you permission to be like on this silly ride with them, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, we know it's silly too," you know.
But it's like we know it's silly, but also like it's not gonna be
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah, it's almost like asking us. I just want you to keep an open mind, you know.
It's like professional wrestling. It's like we are all in on it,
Yeah,
but we're gonna take it with the assumption that it's real.
yeah. It's like when the Undertaker goes for the choke slam, right?
Yeah.
He spins around once and shows the crowd, "I'm about to do the choke slam."
Yes.
Right? He could have just went in for the choke slam,
Yeah.
but there's not much showmanship in that.
Yeah.
Right? He has to prep the oven for us first.
Yeah.
You know, and Tyrese was that for the space edition for Fast.
God, yeah, I mean, it's almost like he dropped the curtain and went, by the way, guys. But they did it in a way that, like, his character was, like, realized it's a movie and everyone else gaslit him into thinking, no, it's real life. And then you get back into Fast 10, and he actually starts off very insecure because, remember, the previous movie, he almost died, like, multiple times in that movie. First of all, this is another thing that I don't think they talk about. In Fast 9, spoiler alert, the plan was for them to die. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were sent up into space in a Civic. There was no plan on getting them back. They were like, we don't know how to get you back. And they were like, all right, I mean, look, it's either the world ends or we end. So they went into space prepared to sacrifice their lives. And then, like, doesn't the International Space Station, like,
The rest
grab them? Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
But here's the thing. I'm like,
blacked out at that
they
point.
do the noble sacrifice. It's brilliant. But the next movie, it's like, so I was the whole reason that everything worked. You guys gaslit me into thinking that he's like, but I still don't have any explanation for any of this. Like, I went into space in a Honda Civic. I was rescued by ISS. Like, they gaslit him the whole time. He saved the day, left him to die. Now he's back. And so the way that Fast 10 opens up is Tyrese wants to lead a mission and sources a mission, organizes it. That would be a spoiler, but like lays it on the line for this mission.
Mm-hmm.
And they're treating him like an asshole in the beginning. And he's all insecure. And it makes sense because of how poorly he was treated in the previous mission, in spite of literally being like, if we succeed, I die. And he was fine. Like, he complained a little, but he was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that's how the movie kicks off. So you see this, like, it's just a very smooth progression of his character. It's wonderful. But I digress.
I'm so impressed by this franchise for lasting 10
Yeah.
movies. I had no idea. Like, I remember the first Fast and Furious was so cool.
Yes.
I took the girl that I had a crush on at the time from work, and I was like, this is a really cool movie. I mean, I thought it was a one-off, and then there was a second one, and then a third one, and a fourth one. I'm like, where are they going to
Yeah.
go with? Are they just going to street race in different countries.
Sort of.
And then it became a heist movie. And then it just became, and then they went to space.
Yes, it's a sci-fi now.
And now it's a superhero
So the
movie.
nuclear sub, yeah, they're all superheroes.
Being played by literal superheroes.
Yes.
Right? It's just so interesting to see how, some... Am I spoiling this if I say...
No, don't spoil
Oh,
anything.
I can't say anything.
Don't spoil anything.
I'll
But it's
stop right
amazing.
there. I'll hit the brakes right there.
Here's what we'll do. We'll do a hard segue into AI.
Well, yeah,
Because we
let's do
talked
that.
about it. Again, writer's strike. They're concerned about AI. Remember when we were talking earlier about like what skills you're going to stack? Look at what the writers are complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
They've shown us a glimpse of what the future is going to be. They're talking a lot about AI. Learn some AI shit.
Yeah.
Learn how to get proficient in something to do with AI. I think that is a very important skill
Yeah.
to have.
I don't quite understand it. Well, the past couple of days or weeks, my friends have been showing me clips of, oh, look, this is how AI reimagined Lord of the Rings 2. They showed me a trailer, and I'm
With
like...
Wes Anderson, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it was very strange. I was like, what am I watching? I'm like, okay, that's Gandalf. I'm like, what is this?
So the AI
So
was able
strange.
to generate images, and ultimately somebody turned it into video. It's actually a very complicated workflow. So that was many AIs. So they I think they started in what's called Midjourney, or maybe DALL-E 2. ChatGPT, right?
No.
So ChatGPT is a large language model, and it's owned by a company called OpenAI, which was a nonprofit, ran into some funding issues, a bunch of unfortunate things happened, and they had to switch it into like a for-profit company. They got a bunch of money. They were able to continue the project because it was all going to fall apart. They have this large language model. There's been a bunch of them. They're on the fourth one now. And they created the chatbot that everybody knows, where you can talk to it, and it gives you like kind of dumb answers, but pretty good if you know nothing about something.
Yeah.
And if you and again, another one of those skills. If you get really good at learning how to talk to this thing, you can actually speed up a lot of your workflows or your thinking or how you learn stuff. But it also has an image generator where you can describe an image and it'll take what you said and go, okay, I think this is what you make, and it gives you an image.
Oh.
There's another company called Midjourney. There's actually several of them now, but the two really big ones are Midjourney and DALL-E 2.
That's so scary.
You can actually use a little, I don't want to say crappy, but a very truncated version of DALL-E 2 at this website called Crayon, but Crayon, Craiyon. Now, so somebody used Midjourney, I think it was, to make these images, and it basically like, hey, give me some images of like Lord of the Rings, but imagine it was in the style of Wes Anderson. Then they took a different AI tool, which I can't remember which one they used, but there's many, to animate a face. Then they took a different AI, I think it's called synesthesia, and they loaded a bunch of voice data from the different actors into it, right? And so it trained it on their voice, and then it gave it some stuff to say, which is why you get Owen Wilson as Sauron going, wow. And like, you have the different characters talking. So then they took that, and they took the video generator where it animates the faces with the images that they made in Midjourney.
Yeah.
And they synced up the video of the moving faces to make their lips and faces move as though they're saying the words that they made from synesthesia. And they put it all together in one video, and then they did another voiceover, which I think was also AI, if I remember correctly, describing, and so they do all these cuts.
Gosh.
So, but that is a very, right, we imagine that somebody went in and went, make a Wes Anderson version of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then they just spat that out. It's not what went down. This was like 8 different tools that somebody had to get pretty proficient with. But the thing is, when Google first came on the scene, remember there was Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves. Learning to Google something became a skill. Like I remember being young and spending a lot of time getting really good at Googling things because that algorithm worked differently, and I had to learn how to Google things versus Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
Especially because at the time I was running like one of the top 100 Dragon Ball Z
Wow.
websites.
I didn't notice about
In
you.
like 5th grade.
I'm impressed.
You shouldn't be. It was bad. Piccolo433.com. And I don't think it exists anymore. But like I realized I had to get it indexed for Google rather than just, you know, like, because the way that websites would get spread back then is there was like these top 10 lists, like cooler. It was always one of the characters' names and then like a number. It was like Cooler 718, top 10 lists. Then you had to court these guys who were these other nerds. And I was fortunate that one of them went to my middle school. And he would put me on his top 10 list, and then you get a bunch of traffic. And then you hit a little traffic counter. Remember those?
Yeah.
But I realized, like, this is not scalable. I have to get on search engines. Getting on search engines would mean people had to search for you specifically, except Google, when it came on the scene, that was not how it worked. So I realized I needed to learn how the search engine works because people are not going to be searching specifically for piccolo433.com or the original website,
Yeah.
angelfire.com/OH2.
Angelfire. Oh my God. That just,
piccolo433.html/home. Or something like that.
that gave me some feelings over Angel Fire. I just remember like meaty files. GeoCities with the little star background of people's blogs.
Yeah.
Zanga. Let's leave
Oh,
me a
Zanga. My God, Friendster.
God, we're old.
No, we're not.
We're old, guys.
We're in our
Very
20s. We have a very robust following of young, wealthy people who spend their money. So I realized like I had to learn how to Google, right? Because it's not about searching for the thing you need.
Yeah.
You're searching for, like, you're searching for basically you're searching for the answer to the question that you have to ask, right? That's kind of the big change. It's hard to describe because you don't necessarily want to find just one website the way it used to be. You want to find a group of things that you piece together that might help you. That's really the power of Google. It's like you know, you're shooting this cannonball and it's going to explode in the area that you need, and then you're going to go check that area and get all the stuff together, and that's how you get a complete picture.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time learning how to Google things. And, you know, what ultimately happened was Google became the de facto way of searching for things. And so because I had already had that skill, I was just really proficient at it, and I only got better. Well, this is probably going to be the new way that we, you know, use tools. And so getting proficient at things like that is going to pay dividends in the future. If the writers are talking about it, again, canary in the coal mine, then that's probably going to be the future. So like there's this question, and I'll pose you this question. Do you think AI is going to democratize or destroy creativity in the industry?
I mean, well, for me, speaking from an actor's standpoint, I mean, I think we watch movies to watch real people demonstrate a skill in real time, you know, because you're like, oh wow, that person achieved that as a human and it's inspiring. You know, it's why we watch sports, because real people doing extraordinary things in front of a camera, you know, and making us feel things, you know. And I don't think I'll have the same, like, I don't get the same feeling when I watch a movie like Avatar, even though it's motion captured by real actors. It's just I don't feel connected to it. It looks really beautiful, but like I don't think, you know, when the first Avatar came out, I think that was a decade ago, right? That was a decade ago. I remember my dad even joked back then. It's like, oh, well, one day they won't even need actors anymore. But I was like, no, they're always gonna need actors. You know, it's like one of the oldest art forms. You know, if I knew robots made a song, I wouldn't listen to it. That's not impressive to me.
Really?
Yeah, it's not impressive to me. It's impressive that they made a song that's catchy, but I'm like, but there's no human I can connect to. That's what's really strange, right? I'm just like, it's just a thing. And the whole reason I love art is because another human is doing it, and it just shows you the human capacity of what's possible. You know, I'm impressed and not impressed by what, you know, AI can do. It's kind of, it freaks me out a little bit, but I don't think it threatens me, because I have immense hope that, you know, this, like, the one thing I don't like is that being able to use like an original actor. It's like, I only heard about this, didn't really read very deep into it, where they can use our likeness in perpetuity without paying us.
Yeah,
I think that's ethically very wrong. you know, because a lot of actors, you know, we live on royalties and these residuals, and you take that from us, it's like, then you're really just going to be making movies with, you know, computer animation, and it's like, who's gonna actually like this kind of stuff, you know?
That's an interesting take because, you know, it's funny because we both started as actors, and I found a little success as an actor, but I really, really found that financing was like the path for me, right? And so financed a lot of terrible movies, but it paid the bills. And like that perspective, right, of what is the industry going to look like and how is AI going to affect it? I actually think that AI is going to create a new class of creators. I think we're going to have a new art form come out of this. The ability to use AI. I think the same with virtual reality, and that's for another episode. But I think the ability to use AI to create things is going to be its own skill. I think we're going to, at some point, have somebody using just a laptop and these online tools and whatever's in their mind, create a blockbuster film with just this and these and this.
Ooh.
I think that's going to be here, and that's going to be a different art form altogether.
Yeah.
And I think people don't necessarily go to the movies to see a human doing the thing. They go to the movies to have an experience.
Yeah.
And I think creating a new way of having people experience something and feel something is going to be there. Like when people like, oh, vaudeville, it's gonna, or not vaudeville, movies, these movies, nobody's going to go to the theater anymore. It's like, well, except we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, video games or TV, oh, nobody's going to read books anymore. Yeah, except we do. Oh, reading books. We can't have people reading books. Nobody's going to go outside and do other things and learn anything anymore. Like, remember, that same panic happened for books.
Yeah.
People thought books
that's
were
true.
too forward thinking of a technology and it was going to ruin society. They thought that trains went too fast and women's ovaries couldn't handle the speed and they were going to fly out them. I don't know exactly what the moral panic was on that, but I think that like virtual reality, have you gone to any virtual reality experiences where an artist put on a VR headset and built a world for you to explore?
No, with what?
Just the little paddles in a VR.
Gosh, no, I've never seen that. Though I have played what's that VR thing called?
Oculus.
I have played Oculus. I played Slender Man on Oculus, and that freaked me out because the game was built for you to lose. Slender Man's gonna find you.
Yeah, he finds you eventually.
And it's a sound-based game. The graphics are shit, but like, you know, you're like in a park. It's at night, and you're like, there's like a bathroom stall, which is the worst place to hide. Don't ever go. Slender Man's gonna go there and get you first, which is where I died first. But like you just see him from afar, and you look again, he's gone. He's getting closer and closer to you. It freaked me out. But going back to the AI, I did have this dream about drone cameras that are controlled by my mind. Like I can film and vlog myself with floating cameras being controlled by my mind. I can tell a camera to pick up which shot I want. I want them to focus. However I imagine it. This was just a dream. I'm like, are we far from that?
Not that far.
Which is scary.
That's a new type of creator, though.
Well, like that makes me think like, whoa, what if like film crews disappear and it's just the actor acting by himself?
That would be a new type of artist.
That would be so weird.
That's a whole new type of artist.
Yeah.
Think about there's one-man shows on Broadway.
That's true.
You know, these are new types of artists. I mean, Pink Floyd got shit because they used distortion pedals in their music.
Yeah.
You know, you look and this has always happened, and I actually think I think we're going to see a new type of creator.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way that, you know, after like Casios were invented and became affordable enough, suddenly the hip hop industry exploded. It wasn't because a bunch of really talented people happened to all be born in these historically poor urban neighborhoods at the same time. That talent was always there. It was always being pushed down. And the Casio, right? At the time, it was like a revolution. And before that, that type of technology costs you tens of thousands of dollars. You need a room to set it in. And then suddenly, you know, Casio gets small enough and affordable enough that you just need to have one of these things and some electricity and understand music really well. And we got a whole new genre out of that.
Yeah.
That came from a place that really very little creativity came from.
Everything's smaller and faster and better.
And what happens historically is new art forms are created and the old ones, they don't die, right? We still go to the theater. We still listen to live music. I actually think the old art forms where you go and experience it, live music, we thought COVID was going to kill live music. Live music is everywhere now. It's a whole thing. So these in-person events, that's the new economy of the future.
So I don't even know how to answer that question. Like, what do you think that means for actors? Like, I don't know. Like, the tidal wave, I don't think has hit yet.
No.
I won't know how to react until I see that punch.
Yeah, it hasn't crested. Well, that's too late. You can't react to the punch once you see it. You got to react to the punch when you see the shoulder twitch. You taught me that.
There's not even
right before I got punched in the face when I was sparring. Who was that? George? Oh, wait, but remember the kid that punched me?
In the solar plexus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
By the time I saw that punch,
It's too late.
it was on its way.
Yeah.
You know? Now, when I look back in hindsight, I look back at that and I'm like, I knew he was going to do that. I just didn't prepare for him to do it then. I thought I could back up and reset myself, and then he's going to throw that punch and I'm going to tuck, and then I was going to give him something.
Yeah.
But, because remember right before that, you were like, hands out.
Yeah.
He's going to do this. And I was like, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hit me like a couple seconds after that, right? And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to create some distance, and I'm going to turn my hands out like Hayden said.
Yeah.
And then, Hayden's right. And then I can peekaboo, right, and get it, and just keep a little distance, and then put some weight on him. But by the time,
It's too late.
But you told me that, I needed to do it right then because you saw, hey, this is gonna come.
Yeah.
And I went, you're right. Let me get some distance first. No.
Yeah.
I needed to do it right in that moment, turn my hands out and tuck and figure out and either not make the distance or make the distance. But I needed to do what you told me right then because you saw it was coming. And I said, okay, good. I will react to it.
Yeah.
And no, you were telling me to be proactive. I was reactive.
Yeah.
And I got...
So you're saying I should be like in RoboCop 2 where I just upload my consciousness into a computer.
It's not a bad idea. I'm going to do it the first chance I get.
I don't know how did it... Yeah, that's... this, I don't know. It's unknown, and the unknown is scary.
Well, maybe next week when we record the next episode, there will be further advancements, and we'll have more stuff. We'll be able to show you guys.
Yeah,
assuming there's anybody
I will be
listening
inside a computer.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, this is beloved broadcaster, AI enthusiast, cautious AI enthusiast, haydenszeto. I'm a poor man's Ryan Gosling. And thanks for watching SmashCut.
Thank you for watching SmashCut, everybody.